Peace, love, and empowerment, beautiful people. I pray that this video finds you well and that you are out here achieving goals, getting the job done, and living your best life. LJ the Peacemaker here. Need peace? I got some, and I'm willing to share. Now, today, let's talk about risk, growth, and comfort zones, and what they all have in common. Now, I used to think that risk was all about like investing your life savings and taking these huge and massive risks in order to get some kind of return, a bigger return. But what if you don't have a life savings? And the thing is, the less you have, the greater the risks that we should be willing to take. Now, risks is really opening yourself up to exposure to potential harm or potential loss. It's opening yourself up to the possibility of unwanted results. And we maybe look at risks with this fearful perception, but God has been showing me so much about risk and how we can apply it in day-to-day life. Now, if we look at growth is really increasing in size and stature, in status, and it's expansion. And the goal is continuous expansion because that is what we were made to do. The spirit is for continuous growth and continuous expansion. And now as we grow, it means that we are moving outside of our comfort zones. So risk is really opening yourself up to vulnerability. However, when we step outside of our comfort zone, we become vulnerable. So therefore, there is risk involved. However, like I just said, if risk is the possibility of unwanted circumstances, then by faith, we recognize that we can hold on to the possibility of a great return, of a tremendous increase in our lives. Now, let's look at what a comfort zone is. It's somewhere that we feel safe. And risk by nature removes that safety net from us. And again, it makes us vulnerable. Now, as we open ourselves up to be vulnerable, we're exposing ourselves, just as we expose ourselves with risk, we expose ourselves to potential harm, potential danger. And with being vulnerable, we have to really assess what is the danger. As we show more of ourselves to people, to the world, they could either like it or not. And we oftentimes fear that rejection. We don't want to be rejected, but God is showing me that consistent risk is necessary for consistent growth. So let's look at how risk looks in day-to-day life with regards to growth. Now, for myself, the mission has always been to walk this path and show you how to do it so we can all live in the freedom and the abundance that's our birthright. But with that, I have to consistently open myself up and become more and more vulnerable. Not because I thought that was the way it went, because I really didn't. But as God continues to lead me, God is like, okay, you've been doing this for a while. Now it's time to show the people what that looks like. And so in increased degrees, I continue to expose myself to you more fully and showing you my heart. And that makes me vulnerable. That opens me up to vulnerability. However, in the safety of God, I recognize that I don't have to fear anything because I'm living out my purpose and my destiny. And so as you step into new phases of yourself and embrace growth, you recognize that it means stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is risky. There is that risk involved because there is that potential that people are not going to like it, or people may buck up against you and make you feel awkward. However, when we step into a new level in ourselves, it is awkward because it's unfamiliar. And so being willing to step into the unfamiliar, which is growth, is risky. It's risky, it's scary. However, we got to be willing to do it, because this is the only way that we will increase and expand. Now, if we look at our comfort zones, a comfort zone is where you feel comfortable and you feel safe, but it's where you've always been. And so the results that you desire, if you don't have them right now, then they lie outside of your comfort zone. So again, stepping outside of that comfort zone is risky. And these are the risks that we have to take in order to achieve greater results. Now, with our comfort zones, if you picture it like a circle with a dot in the middle, the circle is the comfort zone. You are the dot in the middle. So as you begin to implement new practices and begin to grow in the direction that you want to go, again, you're the dot in the middle of the circle. You begin to move towards the outer portion of the circle, that perimeter of the circle. And once you hit it, you begin to feel resistance, because it's almost like a wall, so to speak, that's in front of you. However, it's really not a wall. It's just that comfort zone. And as we begin to focus on stepping outside of it, we actually have to push through that barrier, the barrier within ourselves, because ultimately there is no barrier. It's just us in this perceived comfort zone. So as we push against that comfort zone wall, the outer limits, it's a little difficult and it feels very strange, very awkward. And we got to put our back into it, give it a little bit of muscle. And this is a risk, because we're stepping outside of the comfort zone. So we do not know what lies beyond. However, we have to recognize that with risk, there's the possibility and the potential for unwanted results, but then therein too lies the potential and the possibility for desired results, desired outcomes. And as we walk in faith, we trust that God is bringing forth the desired result. And the thing is, scripture says that God will surpass your wildest imaginations. So what if we looked at risk and the vulnerability that we're opening ourselves up to as this possibility for our socks to be knocked off, for our wildest imagination to be fulfilled? That would allow us to approach it in a totally different way, and to help to alleviate and diminish the fear that we perceive with risk. Now, there's calculated risks and there's uncalculated risks. You know, I am really just focusing on us acknowledging that stepping outside of our comfort zone is a risk. So I know with business and with personal development, I consistently hear that you got to take risks. And so, like I said earlier, for myself, it was like, okay, what do? Invest your whole life savings or jump off a bridge and hope God will catch you? And those are tremendously extreme, you know, and God has really helped me to reestablish my relationship with risk and to align it with growth and stepping outside of our comfort zones, because risk is necessary. However, risk is only scary when we perceive it to be that. Stepping outside of our comfort zone feels scary. However, if we know that our next level and what we desire is on the other side of that comfort zone, then it helps us to assess that risk and recognize that this risk is necessary. Now, even with investing, when we make investments, risk is also a very big part of that, you know, because we again are opening ourselves up to this potential of unwanted results. So investing is a risky business. However, it is necessary to invest in ourselves, to up-level our mindset, up-level our skill set. And as we do that, we are taking these risks, but they are the risks that afford us the growth that will bring us to where we want to be. So God is encouraging you to be bold, be brave, and to take those risks. Step outside of that comfort zone. Because granted, as you're doing it, it feels uncomfortable, but that's because it's unfamiliar. So as we again, with the analogy of the circle with the dot in the middle, you being the dot, as you move toward the perimeter of that comfort zone and you feel that resistance, it's for you to acknowledge that this is me stepping into uncharted waters, and that's why it feels uncomfortable and a little bit scary. However, it is part of the growth process. And as you step out of your comfort zone, then that circle, that comfort zone, begins to expand as you continue to practice this new level. So once we step outside of that comfort zone, beyond the barrier, the previous barrier that we'd set for ourselves, we're now in these uncharted waters. And as we begin to swim in those waters, then they become familiar. And now we're acclimated to this new level. And then we repeat the cycle. We begin to move outward into the perimeter of that new comfort zone that we've set. And it's important for us to understand that comfort zones are not a place to live. We get there, we get comfortable, but we can also get stagnant in these comfort zones. And that's how we don't continue to grow and don't continue to expand. So as we really just understand the process and allow ourselves to experience the feelings that come with them, we recognize that they're just a part of life. It doesn't mean that something is wrong or that we need to stop or retreat. The risks that we're taking are affording us growth, and growth lies beyond our comfort zones. So we have to be brave, we have to be bold, and we have to know that this is all a part of the process. And that's why the process is so critical, because it's this continuous unfolding of this process of expansion. So risks, growth, and comfort zones all work together. You know, we have to understand that we step out of our comfort zone, we take that risk, and we grow. And then that place now becomes our comfort zone. And then we have to, again, take the risks, be bold, be brave, and allow ourselves to grow. You know, it's like a flower that's growing. It doesn't resist the growth process. However, it's reaching up, it's pushing, it's straining upward. And I mean, granted, we don't want to strain too much, but we can stretch ourselves to reach just a little further. Because the thing is, our comfort zone keeps us boxed in. However, what if you just decided, I'm going to reach an inch out of my comfort zone? Is that too much? Do you not believe that that's possible? Of course it is. And we can always reach a little further. And therein lies the risks. I mean, I just released a new product from my line of products, which I'm super excited about. However, God told me, okay, this is what you're going to release to the people. And it's called the Daily Power Activation Audio Ingestion. And it's a prayer that I'd written in the beginning of this journey. And I mean, I've consistently been writing these prayers for years, and I read them to kind of just keep my focal point in, front of my mind and in the forefront of my consciousness. However, at the beginning of this journey, I decided to kick it up a notch as I began to understand how life really works. So what I was doing was imprinting this prayer and my heart's desires into my consciousness on a day-to-day basis, not only by reading it, but also by listening to it and feeling the feeling of it. However, God directed me, okay, you're going to release this out into the world and share this with the people, because the objective has always been to walk the path and show them how to get there, how I did this. And so it was like, wait, I am going to share with the world my personal prayer, the outpouring of my heart. That was kind of scary. And I mean, I get on here on a daily basis sharing what's inside of me. However, it was extremely uncomfortable in the beginning, and at various points it's still a little bit uncomfortable as I continue to expose more and more of who I am. I'm opening myself up to vulnerability because I'm speaking my truth. I'm showing you my heart. However, I would never have grown to this point if I was not willing to consistently take this risk of showing up and showing you what I believe, speaking my truth, and exposing my heart to you. So these are risks that I'm consistently taking, and God is consistently pushing me to take greater and greater risks. And I mean, it's all okay because at this point, I know for sure that God is not encouraging me to take a risk that is not to my benefit. So it's for us to listen to our heart and acknowledge the leading of God and be willing to take those risks, you know, and that doesn't mean that it feels comfortable. Again, stepping outside of our comfort zones is uncomfortable. Comfort zone, out of it, uncomfortable. It's simple logic, but it doesn't mean something's wrong. And God knows what He has for you. And the only way for you to have it is for you to be willing to take that risk and allow yourself to grow and step forward into your next level. So risks, growth, and comfort zones are all working together to help us continue to evolve and to expand. So be willing to take risks. Again, it doesn't mean you're jumping off a bridge and expecting God to catch you. It just means you're exposing a little bit more of your heart so that you can stand in your truth and own it. And as you practice that, it builds your confidence and creates this new comfort zone. And then you have to step outside of that one too. The Spirit is for continuous expansion. I believe in you. I'm here for your continuous growth. I thank you so much for your time. I love you so, so much. I pray that this video blesses you and that you begin to really evaluate the feelings that you're experiencing, those risks and the promptings in your heart that are telling you to do a thing. And it's a little bit scary and a little uncomfortable, but take that risk. Allow yourself to grow, and your greatest blessings await you right outside your comfort zone. LJ the Peacemaker here, eradicating poverty one thought at a time. And remember, if you have a bucket and you put a drop in it every day, then your overflow is inevitable. So put those drops in that bucket because your overflow is guaranteed. I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.